Okay, it says we're live. Let's check just to see. It should just pop up here in a second. Okay. All right, we're good. We're live. All right, well, David, thanks for coming today. If you want to introduce yourself to all our friends at home.
Thanks for asking me. And my name's Dave Steele, lifetime resident of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Been here for 75 years. My parents were born and raised here. My grandparents were born and raised here. So we've got a couple hundred years of residence in the town.
It's funny because we actually do have like quite a bit in common in that sense. And I was thinking about that when I was thinking about like what kind of questions we could start off with. Like, because I mean, technically born in St. Catherine's Hospital. I wasn't given birth to on the farm. But yeah, lived here since. I
was born in St. Catherine's too.
We're bastards, aren't we? Well, yeah, thanks St. Catherine's for having a real hospital. But yeah, so spent my whole life here. Aside from my co-ops I had in Ottawa for StatsCan and then in Mississauga for Mercedes-Benz. But besides that, I've been here the whole time. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but my dad's grandpa used to own the land that the airport sits on. Then again, this is probably like 80 years ago that they sold that. But it's funny because I didn't even know that until like a few years ago that we owned all that land and that we'd been here that long. Because I think it was in the 60s is when a lot of people started moving into town. Like I think it was the population of Niagara-on-the-Lake was something like 2,000 or 3,000 before then. And then it was in the 70s is when there was a big influx of people coming in and we jumped up to something like, I think it was like 12,000 by that point. So yeah, thanks again for coming. If you don't mind, I've got a long list of questions. I'll see if anyone else has any questions they want to add. Feel free to hit us up. Either I've got Facebook open here. I'll be popping through. If anyone wants to pop something there onto YouTube, we'll be here to answer them. Anything you want to say before we get started? All right, let's let the show begin. So episode 9. So, well, I mean, you already kind of answered this, but yeah, how long have you lived in Niagara-on-the-Lake?
Off and on over 75 years.
So off and on, like where else have you been in that time?
I went to university in the States and for 4 years. I did for a while in Rochester, New York, a while in Jacksonville, a while in Nashville, and a while in St. Louis.
What took you down to Jacksonville?
I was trying to be a hockey player.
And they had hockey in Jacksonville. I guess like probably cost a lot to cool the ice down there.
No, it was actually a nice arena. This is back in 64, 65. No.
Oh, and you still found your way back. Usually a lot of people, they end up down there and they say, screw winter.
Well, that was the nice part about it.
Yeah, I drove through Jacksonville last year in February. So did you play at like the Jacksonville University?
No, it was like, I don't even know. It's quite a while ago. I can't remember the name of the arena, but hockey was just taking off in the States at that time. And it was the Eastern, what they call the Eastern Amateur League at the time.
Now,
and,
at that point,
they were farm teams for American League teams and Central Pro League teams.
So at that point, it was probably like NHL. Was that even existing at that point?
Oh yeah, the NHL was like, but back in those days, there was only like 120 players in the NHL.
Only a handful of teams.
And I definitely wasn't one of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's probably back when, people always talk about like the heyday of when the Maple Leafs used to win every single game and every single champion. And
don't bring up the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I know it's too soon.
They haven't recovered yet.
Yeah, maybe in a few more years. We'll see. Maybe next year, but probably not.
I've been a Leaf fan my whole life.
You never wanted to jump ship?
I never. And I grew up wanting to be Ted Teeter Kennedy.
So you've always wanted to be a loser. Okay.
Has anybody ever walked out of one of these podcasts?
Not yet. You'll be the first. We're only up to episode 9. So, I mean, there's still a lot of history to be made. So when did you first get interested in politics? Because one of the things that I really wanted to bug you about is your history being a Niagara-on-the-Lake politician. I mean, that's, again, one of those things that we have in common. And it's also, we ended up crossing paths during my my fun little stunt trying to run for Lord Mayor last year. So yeah, what was it that got you like inspired to get into politics before you even wanted to run? Like, what caught your interest, made you realize the importance?
Well, I was in university in 66, 67, 68, 69. And I'd come home, and they were building Garrison Village. And I was asking, I'd ask people, what's going on out there? And I always said the old Patterson Farm. What's going on out there? And nobody seemed to know. So I took a drive through it, and I went back. I said, damn it, they're building another town out there. But nobody seemed to know what was going on.
Yeah.
And obviously some people knew.
Yeah.
And I started checking it, checking this out. Like, is it needed?
Where the hell are all these people coming from?
Well, yeah, it's like the town isn't even infilled yet, and they're building all these homes out there. Then I got involved, or finding out more about it. And again, like you say, where are these people going to come from? And when they get here, what are they going to do?
Yeah. Because I mean, unless
Shepherd's Boats is already gone, and hinter haulers can't hire them all. And
unless they're grabbing a shovel and they're planting seeds the next day. Like, what are they going to be doing?
What are they going to do? And I just from there I started to see what an alderman did, and you just some things you like, some things you don't like, and say maybe I can get this done. And basically, I want a new ball diamond for Niagara-on-the-Lake, and it's a good way to get it.
Yeah, be one of the decision makers rather than trying to hump your leg to get things done. Get it done yourself.
And it's I lost.
The first time?
I lost the first time. I came ninth out of there's 8 aldermen. I came ninth out of about 16 candidates.
Okay.
Just missed, very close.
Yeah, especially for your first time.
And then I made that big mistake that you made. The next time I ran for mayor.
Yeah, it was too soon.
Which was interesting. And the only reason I ran for mayor because Jake Froese was the mayor at the time, and it was a time when there wasn't any real big issues, so it was tough to attack him. Attack the council.
Yeah. There's nothing bad to say. Hey, you did this wrong. Let me come and fix this.
But I said, well, at least if I run, they've got a choice. Somebody's going to speak up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to actually give people that option, like make people feel like they have a reason to come out that day too.
But it cost me 2 years in town council too.
Yeah, but at that point, it was only 2 years that every council was.
Yeah. So, but it set the stage. So when I ran the next time for alderman, I got elected.
Yeah, people knew your name at that point. It's funny. A lot of people said that about me. Like, there's so much suspicion. Like, there was like probably half a dozen rumors at least about like why it was that I ran for mayor. Everyone's like, well, why didn't he run for council? Like, he would have got in if he ran for council. But like, people think that because they're like, well, everyone knows this guy because he's that guy who ran for mayor. If only this guy we all know ran for council. But the thing is, if I just ran for council with the other 100 people that ran for council, you wouldn't have any idea who I was. I would have probably just blended in with the other. I think it was 25. It's been almost a whole year.
Well, it's funny. There was how many ran, and I was thinking a couple of times I ran. There was 16 people running, 18 people running, 22. I think one time, 22 people running, and there's always been a lot of. And some of them they put their name in, but you never see them. They do nothing. But they just and they get votes. You did quite well.
Yeah,
you did quite well.
Yeah, that night
you had my vote.
Oh well, I mean that. If only you had another 3,008.
Did you hear that, Betty?
But yeah, sorry, Pat, as well, if you're listening or if you ever get the time to take a look at this thing. But oh man, what was I gonna say? But yeah, it was I guess going back to like all the different rumors of why I ran, because of this, because of that, because of every other reason. Like that night I was pretty upset. Like I was telling you before, I just went straight to bed and I was just like, all right, good night. But looking back, like, I guess what it is you look at the average voter of Niagara-on-the-Lake, and the average, if you look on StatsCan, we have one of the oldest demographics. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think our median age is something like 55. And I thought to myself afterwards, it took me a bit of time to reflect, being young and dumb as I am. And it was like, okay, well, why did these people not want to vote for me? I mean, my policies, people agreed with my policies, like hands down. A lot of, like, there was little things here and there people picked apart, but for the most part, people thought, yeah, you know what, like, I totally agree with you, but they didn't vote for me. And the word always came down to experience. And I always thought, like, what's, again, like, it's still, like, I was so stubborn at the time, like, why do they mean experience? But the more I thought about it, I'm less than half of the median age of this town. So I kept thinking, like, imagine if a 12-year-old came to my door and was like, hey, I'm running for mayor. If you want, like, can you support me? Even if he had the greatest ideas in the world, I'd say, you're 12 years old. Like, I can't vote for you. I mean, okay, that's a little different because legally you can't run until you're 18. But after a while, and I started thinking about that, I thought, like, of course, like, I wouldn't buy a vacuum cleaner, even if I had Cheerios all over the ground. I probably wouldn't buy a vacuum cleaner from a 12-year-old salesman, because I think, what are you trying to do? Why aren't you tossing a newspaper door to door? And people thought the same of me, like, why aren't you flipping hamburgers at a McDonald's, or why aren't you doing some other kind of like a young man's job?
The only difference between you and myself there was, like, I had run for alderman, and I was known, but it was the same thing. And my age was used against me, and the lack of experience. But my thing was, well, how do you get experience? You got to be there to get the experience.
Yeah, it's a paradox.
Yeah, if I'm not there, I can't get the experience. And I have to admit, the first time I ran for alderman, I basically did know nothing. Bert King and Gary Dawson woke me up to things that I didn't and never considered.
Yeah.
Never even thought of. I mean, we live in a town surrounded by water. And I wrote knocking door to door, and all three of us met one day. We went for a coffee, and they were saying the number one problem in Niagara-on-the-Lake was water. And I'm going, what are you talking about? We got all kinds of water.
Yeah, I'm not thirsty.
And but it was getting rid of the water. Not only the intake of water, but getting rid of the water. And the problem the farmers were having.
So back then, was the town called Niagara-in-the-Lake?
It was a nice town back then. It was still a nice town. I can't say this, but it was a much easier going town.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing with three aldermen can go to the door, knock on doors together, all talk, then go out for coffee, and probably meet a couple other aldermen, and all sit there and talk. And, and I learned a lot just by, association with those people.
Yeah.
So they knew, they at least knew I had some idea. I was learning as I went along.
Yeah, and I've had the same kind of experience. I mean, even, meeting you and being able to speak with you, we've had a few nights where we've been able to talk politics for a few hours, and, meeting, and I've spoken with a lot of former councillors, and even people who are currently on the council, and getting some wisdom of how things are going on behind the scenes. And it's amazing. Like, I've really learned through going door to door and talking to those hundreds, thousands of people that I have, that, like, you'll learn so much more from just talking to someone than you will from reading a book or from taking a course. Oh, we have another guest on the podcast today. Okay, here, you can have my seat. I'll grab another chair. You don't want to be in it? Here, it's just at least say hi then.
No, we need somebody that looks good.
Here, you can sit for a sec. I'll grab a chair.
Okay.
You can introduce
Hello,
yourself.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Dave.
Nice to meet you.
Brittany.
I'm a friend of Dan's.
As long as you're not a reporter.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the reporter in one of these papers, Brittany?
No, she's not in the paper, unfortunately. Okay, things are getting spicy in here. My chair is really low, so I got a lot shorter. All right, we're back. But yeah, it's incredible, like the kind of things that you can learn just from going around talking to people door to door. Like, I feel like I learned more in the 4 months that I was campaigning than I had learned in probably 4 or 5 years of school or of university.
You always do.
Yeah.
I mean, school is, education is great, but after you hit when you get out in the real world, you realize.
Oh shit, that book's not going to help me much.
Yeah. I mean, damn it all. I haven't used algebra since I got out of high school.
I still use it sometimes. You got to calculate your.
Well, I do, because I do quizzes. I do quizzes on the computer, so I use algebra, but there's a lot of things that you just don't use.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it is once I'm done school. I'm still in school right now. So I took 5 years of economics at Brock. Now I'm at McMaster on the weekends. Right now we're between terms, so thank God I can sleep in tomorrow. But I'm taking big data and a bit of like artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so, part of me wishes I could say I'm not using algebra anymore, but unfortunately I'm learning linear algebra and all those algebra. I've been out of school for 2 weeks, and it's crazy. Like, I start to forget so many things.
I taught school for 15 years, and I don't think I could even pass a test today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything's
Yeah.
changed, but I think Doug Ford's making school a lot easier now. It's just online e-learning. So as long as you know how to hack a computer, you could probably get all the way through high school in 2 minutes. Change your
Well,
grades.
somebody could pay your way to get through school.
Well, yeah, and you saw all the scandals going on in the States, people paying just to get in the building, and then, who knows how much they have to pay per course that they want to, pass or get a good mark on. Yeah, so you were saying before, I had this written down as a question, but we kind of already touched on it, was why was it that you decided to run as a town alderman? And you said that it was because you were seeing a lot of these developments going on in the town. And you were kind of wondering, why is it this is happening? And, I had a similar kind of thing. Like, it seemed like there's a lot of paradoxes where.
Well, the more things that were going on, the more you get involved, the more you see, and the more then you start thinking of changes you would like to see.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I think in the beginning I ran thinking of the old town of Niagara-on-the-Lake because that's where I lived.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really thinking about Virgil, St. David's, Queenston, and the outlying areas. But as you got talking to those people, you realize they were the ones that had the problem.
Yeah.
We didn't have the problem in the old town. We were getting everything.
Yeah.
They were giving us everything, and they were getting nothing.
So did you become kind of like a spokesman for a lot of the other areas in the town?
Trying.
Yeah.
Tried. And I would always do better in the outlying areas than I would do in the old town.
Because everyone there thought you were a traitor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think most of them really didn't even know they never took the time to really talk to me.
Yeah.
Like I love the history of Niagara-on-the-Lake. I'm a history, but I love the historical part of preservation of Niagara-on-the-Lake. But they couldn't believe it when they found out I did. But because they never took the time to talk to me. At least the farmers would talk to you and they would tell you their problems.
Yeah, because they had problems to share.
They had problems.
Yeah, like you said, everyone in Old Town had all their problems catered to at that time.
Well, it's the same today. Everything goes to the old town. Well, everything goes to the old town. I have to say
we got electricity here. We've got some good things.
They've got the library. They've got the community center.
Yeah.
They've got
they've got that beautiful gazebo that they left after the Dead Zone movie there. I don't have a gazebo on East West Line, or maybe there is. I just haven't seen it yet.
But there's it's just a crime, and they always wanted more.
Yeah.
I mean, if we get into it, I'll get into it right now. I think the biggest mistake the town ever made, and whatever council did it, and I did say I could never support anybody that was on council that voted in favor of selling Niagara District High School, because that was the key to this town.
Yeah, I mean, it's right dead in the center.
That was our community center. They didn't have to spend all that money to build a new one. That was our library. They didn't have to spend the money to build another library.
Yeah, I remember.
They didn't have to do that.
Even when I was in elementary school, it was great to go hang out with friends there. They had a huge track in the back. If you want to go throw a ball, you want to go hang out, you had the bleachers there to go hang out at.
It's almost like, spend the money here, but there was Niagara-on-the-Lake. They wanted the library. They wanted the community center. They got it. But they to realize there's other people in this town.
Yeah.
And the high school, to me, was the only thing that was ever built in the proper spot in this whole town. And if people looked at it, you can get to that high school and never go on Highway 55.
Yeah. And it's funny you're saying like all the things that they put into town. I'm surprised that Old Town never ended up getting an indoor pool. I figured with everything else they was situated in that end.
Thank God Virgil got the arena.
Yeah.
During that was the Centennial Project in 1967. What did Niagara put in? They put in that wading pool in the park, and Virgil builds an arena. But Virgil always did want to stick it to Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they were
which you couldn't blame him, because can I recite my song here? Apple, peaches, pears, and plums. We hate the Virgil bums. And that was a Niagara-on-the-Lake song.
Did they have a song too, or did they just say "fuck off"?
But after the high school was built, people stopped thinking that way. All of a sudden we realized, hey, we all belong in the same town.
So it kind of stopped there from being a civil war in town. It's like, okay, at least we have a high school not right.
Well, a baseball game or a hockey game, Virgil against Niagara, or Virgil against St. David's or Queenston, it turned into a little bit of a war. And then all of a sudden they built the high school, and we all went to war together.
Yeah, at least on the same team this time. You were saying before one of the reasons why you decided to run was because you wanted to see a baseball diamond be put in place. So which baseball diamond is that? Did it ever get placed?
What they call the Legion Ball Diamond, which they did. They expanded it, changed it around, put in better lights, made it bigger, and put in bleachers. And but there was a pump house on that property that sort of screwed things up. They were trying to get a concession stand, dressing rooms, which never, they did put them in, but you have to go in and shift to dress. You know, it was like, they were so small. But they tried. It was tried.
Yeah, at least a war didn't start from that battle.
Yeah. And we got a proper sized baseball diamond, and
yeah. So I mean,
with lights too.
That makes glad to see that we at least have them down in Virgil now by the arena there. Like, and then what do you know what year it was that they built the next arena at? Like the second one, I think it was like early 2000s, like the Meridian expansion that they put in.
All I know is when the first one was built, when I was in there one day and somebody knew me and they said, "Oh, this is where you learn how to play hockey." And I said, I had quit playing hockey before this thing was built. I played in the 2 Mile Pond and Queens Royal Beach, and that I said, this, and most of my time was built in St. Catharines, but I never, I never skated in the Virgil Arena, and I have no idea when the second. I didn't start going back to the arena until my son became old enough to play hockey.
Yeah, well, if they built that in the time you were counselor, people probably would have thought, oh, he's just using this for his son. He's just trying to use our tax-paying dollars to expand.
No, I know it was done well after my son. It was done well after that because I was a child groom.
The other thing I want to ask you, we were talking about when you went out to the States for school. What was it that you studied primarily? Like, what was the degree that you went out for?
I started off in art.
Like to be a painter or like?
Be an artist.
Like,
and then I realized
make nice, beautiful Picassos like this.
And I realized I had no talent.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't draw for shit either. That's why.
Well, I can draw, but I couldn't. I was not an artist.
No one wanted to buy your art.
They didn't know. I never even got that far. They just told me I was more of a technician than I was an artist. So I went into education.
Like sharpening pencils is what you're.
Yeah, that's right. Sharpening pencils, somebody else could draw with them. You're a
wise
wise ass, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to. We have a comment from Tony Caruso. Age has nothing to do with experience. Ain't that right? It reminds me of that Touch of Gray commercial. It was like the one that's like, there's a picture of this guy who's his hair is all gray and he's like looking all sad and like all people think I'm old. And then the commercial comes on and like they're showing the guy who's putting the black dye in his hair. And they're like, what was the saying? It was so funny. It's like, touch of gray. So it looks like you know what you're doing and that you can still do it. So like, it just makes me think like, okay, so that means that if you have gray hair, then you can't do anything. You're stuck in a chair. And then the guy who's got black hair, he's got no idea what he's doing. Like, oh, if only my hair was a little grayer, I know how to stand on 2 feet.
But I don't know that hair thing. I'm actually, I correspond with my roommate from university back in the 60s. And he's completely gray. And I keep sending him pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you been coloring yours or that's just as is?
I don't even comb it, so why would I color it? No.
Oh, you're doing your hair when I picked you up. You had your perm going. No,
it's only because I just got out of the shower. I want to smell nice for you.
No, thank you. I was rolling around in dirt before I saw you. Let's see. Yeah, so like, what was it that you wanted to do in university? Like, I know at first you said you wanted to be an artist, but like after that, like, what was like the next goal?
There actually wasn't one.
Just killing time, just chasing girls, just playing around.
I went there to play hockey.
School was kind of on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome though.
That's I was having a bit of a problem playing. I was playing hockey for St. Catharines. Off and on between the junior A's and Blackhawks and the junior B's. And they weren't giving me any answers. So I said, well, I'll go to school.
Yeah.
But I did not want to be in school.
Yeah. So did you show up to the classes though, at least? Or?
Sometimes.
Yeah. You get the notes from whoever else. Find the smartest looking nerd and, offer him $5, give me your notes or whatever. Or just
well, not exactly stupid.
Yeah.
And actually the first year of university in the States, was basically grade 13 in Canada. It was all
Pretty simple stuff.
pretty simple. Well, not simple stuff, but it was all stuff I did before.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't know it before, it'd come back to me. So first year wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But I only went to 1 year. Then the university was finished, and I got married. So then hockey was basically coming to an end. That didn't help much. And I tried a couple ridiculous jobs, just because you had to work. And I said,
You're like a horse breeder or something?
I can't do this. So I went back to university.
Yeah.
And finished university. I came out with a Bachelor of Science in Education.
Well, I mean, that's definitely better than trying to get horses to mate for a living.
Well, the part was, and I started teaching, but I didn't want to teach either. I'm 75 and I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you got time.
I'm waiting for you to give me some hints.
Yeah, we'll figure it out together. I'm still kind of figuring it out myself.
I know what I can do or what you can do.
Well, what we can do together besides just babble on. Let's see. Yeah, we kind of touched about the whole thing about the town's population back in 1978. For the thumbnail picture that we had on there was your picture back in council. That was the first year that you got elected, if I'm not mistaken. And I was looking online today. It said that the population was about 12,000, but what was it that made so many people move into town within those few years? Because I could be wrong, but I think it said that from the 60s it was 3,000 and then it shot up to 12,000. Was there something that coincided at that time? Did GM move into town or something?
No, I think it was just prices. I had this written down. When I born in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we lived on Simcoe Street, and my father sold that place around 1950, 1940, in the late 40s, 50s, sold for $3,200. And he bought the Stagecoach restaurant for $5,000. And sold that 30 years later for around $100,000. And look what it's worth today. Well, in this time period you're talking,
probably
you could have bought Niagara-on-the-Lake, and if anybody would have had any brains, they probably should have, if they had the money to sit on it.
Yeah, well,
just to sit on the money, because you could buy anything in this town for next to nothing.
Yeah, and that makes me think too.
But it's the dollar value then in that. But you had to have money. But it seemed the people that had the money,
they just figured out it is what it is today. You're not thinking about that it's going to jump up as much as it did in a few years.
It was a slow growth in Niagara. It just didn't take off overnight. They say the Shaw Festival had a big thing to do with the growth of Niagara-on-the-Lake, but it didn't take right off with Shaw Festival. It helped a lot.
I mean, the town still pays the Shaw Festival here and there, which is kind of a funny thing. Is I always think of the Shaw as this very exquisite, very high priced, fine kind of an establishment, and kind of funny how they still receive funding from the town to operate. I mean, I think it's a great thing. It brings a lot of people in, and it helps a lot of the other businesses in town.
I as far as development in the town, and I've got nothing against development or progress, but it's the type of development and the placement of development.
Yeah.
I mean, even before Garrison Village, and Garrison Village Affair was started in 1970. It's 2019, and it's still not finished.
Yeah, still pumping.
It's still not finished.
Yeah, it looks like the quality just goes
down. But they play games. We're gonna build you all these homes. Then they stage it. Then they stage the staging. Yeah. Then they stage the staging of the staging. They stage the staging, the staging, and you end up with 12 homes. And then over a 30-year period, you might have couple hundred homes, but it's still not finished.
Yeah.
But the town itself is not infilled, and you cannot add all those homes to the infrastructure of the town until you do something with the infrastructure in the town, because it can't handle it. So if the town would have been built up the way it should have been, the sewers might have been in place, the gas and hydro and all this might have been in place. Then it could pick up a subdivision like Garrison Village. But you don't build that first and hook it into an existing old system.
Yeah.
That couldn't handle it.
Then you get the issues that we have today.
That's right.
We've got those new ship lagoons, they call them, over by the lake there.
Yeah. And again, I was on council for the Old Town subdivision, which I was against. you know, because like you're going on to the second subdivision, you haven't even finished the first one.
Are you talking about near Charlotte Street? Like
Yeah.
that? Okay.
That came afterwards, but I was basically against all development.
Well, there's the town that you loved and you saw it as it was. And I mean, you start to think like, well, my thinking was how much amazing land we have here, that the soil is so rich for certain types of fruit that, you know, there's not many other places in the world that you can grow peaches as well as you can in Niagara. And to see a lot of this land being torn up and replaced with houses. And, you know, once you pour concrete in the ground, you tear it up, you're not going to have the same quality of, like, no one's going to tear down a subdivision to put a farm in. It's one directional.
I think it's the year I ran for mayor, the Niagara Fruit Growers Association had a meet the candidates night, and I was there, and I always had to admit, I said, I couldn't tell you the difference between a peach tree and an apple tree, you know.
Some different tasting fruit fell out.
Well, after when the fruit's on, I could tell, but I mean, just looking at the tree, I wouldn't know. And talking to the farmers, and a real interesting comment that came from, and I believe it was from Bob Hunter, who said that once you get 1 mile off the water, the land was useless. Up until that, it was great land. But when farming ceases to become a viable industry in the town, I guess,
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
It's like nobody's buying them. The canning factory's closed down. Nobody's buying the fruit anymore. I mean, if you do grow it and put it on the side of the road, you get top dollar for it. But you can't do that if you got 500 peach trees, because you're not going to sell that much.
Yeah, you're going to.
You need a canning factory to sell them to.
Yeah.
And look what just happened lately. Niagara Fruit and Vegetable just got sold. So there goes, that ceases to exist. And on the Rhino Hummel property up in St. David's, they were saying they need more cold storage for their.
Yeah, no one's buying it. It's got to sit there.
It's interesting because I'm not sure it's because I hate wine or I look at all those grapes, but I was driving through town and the other day and I said, looking and said, there are still a lot of fruit trees in this town in different areas. There are people still growing fruit, but I said, like, I just get to the point where I just don't looking at grapes anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you get, I guess, sick of almost anything. I wonder if the people in Banff get tired of looking at the mountains ever.
That's entirely different. That is entirely different. I would pay to see the mountains in Banff, but I sure I wouldn't pay to see that. Grapes.
Well, you can plant grapes. You can't plant in mountain. Unless you're in Dubai and you can afford to do that. And I think they have like an indoor ski resort somewhere in like the desert out there. Back to what we're talking about with like farmers and whether it's viable for them to even be able to sell their fruit anymore. It's also about like the comparison of like, well, what's the next best thing I can do with this land? So, let's say with a certain size property, they can make $1 million a year selling peaches. But if they find out I can make $100 million if I divide my land into all these different houses, I build 1,000 houses on it, I can make so much more money. And it all becomes comparative. And also a lot of these farmers, I know there's a big generational shift now where the children aren't going to want to take over the farms as much as they used to be able to, because there's so many more options nowadays to go move here, move there, and do a different profession. So, if you're in your 70s, you've been working for 50 years on your farm and no one wants to take it over, you're not going to just let it rot. You're going to end up selling the land. And if you're within the urban boundary, you're going to get a pretty penny for your land.
Yeah, well, what you said is that in order to do that, if you own that property and you want to develop, you need money to develop it. And probably the only money that the farmer has or value he has is in his property.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, does he mortgage or borrow against his property, or does he just sell his property outright to some developer who comes in who doesn't know? If the farmer himself did it, who lived in this area, maybe you'd get a better job. You bring developers in from different areas. Do they really care about this town? I would really like to. Do they really care? You see the ones that stay in town, but the other ones come in and build their homes and hit the road.
But
and all we have to do is go drive down the Creek Road and look at St. David's.
Yeah.
And there may not be anything wrong with the houses, but it's an ugly subdivision.
Top up.
Of course. I love grapes.
I love Silversmith beer. Brought to you in part by Silversmith's breakfast wheat, 5.2%. That's the right amount for me. Silversmith doesn't pay us anything, but if they want to, they can, or at least just give us a free refill. We wouldn't mind that. I don't know. We're already halfway through this shindig, and I still have tons of questions. I think we're still getting a random
one I
call.
can answer quick.
Yeah. We'll do.
Tell me to shut up, and I talk too much.
All right. Well, we'll do lightning round for now. Well, what was like the biggest concern when you ran? Like basically just you wanted to preserve, which sounds like the same kind of issue that I ran on. The same issues that we have today is like wanting to just make sure that this town stays the beautiful town that it is and doesn't become the city of Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Well, I think the longer you get involved with it, the more you feel that way.
Yeah.
And you see some things like Garrison Village because it happened, and I didn't want it to happen again.
Yeah.
So you stay there thinking you can stop that from happening. And obviously, didn't do a very good job, did I?
Well, I don't know. Houses are there. Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, but it's the same thing they're going through today. This new council. I don't want to really get into Ranwood, but I see nothing wrong with a hotel in Ranwood. And his design is ugly. It's an ugly design. I think you could do more with that. But I'm dead against the subdivision. But knowing it's going to happen sooner or later.
Well,
it's going to happen. But I mean, sit down and don't use this phrase affordable housing because that's a crock of crap.
There's no way.
There's no such thing as affordable housing in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And if you believe that,
well, even if the government said we're going to pay for 90% of it to make it cheap, you know what happens? They get bought up in a scoop, resold for 10 times the value.
That's right. And the more servicing you put in, you're going to pay. And you'll get in a bidding war.
Yeah.
I mean, in Toronto, they put up a place. They want $1 million for it. So you go along and offer $1 million, and they say, no, we're not selling it. They get in a bidding war, and he gets $1.3 million.
Everything will sell for the right price.
And the same thing will happen in Niagara-on-the-Lake. They'll bid on it. It'll go up, and whatever. If it sells, if they say they want $500,000 and they get $600,000, well, the new price is $600,000. And if the next one gets in the bidding war and goes up to 7, the new price is 7.
Yeah, I didn't need 5 years of economics to learn that. It's common sense.
You try to explain that to people.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're going to get affordable housing. Once you sell, the people that sold in Niagara-on-the-Lake, they own a home and they bought it for, say, this one that was on Facebook not so long ago. She paid $45,000 for her house, and she's offered $450,000 for it now. That's not bad, but she has to realize I don't think she wants to sell, but she said, "I'd never sell under market value." Right? Of course you would. Nobody would. Yeah. But the thing is, sell it $450 and try to buy back in. You won't be able to.
Yeah,
it's going to cost you more money to buy back into the town.
Yeah, unless the lake floods and the house ends up becoming worthless, then you pay a couple of nickels. But the house as is never going to go back down. Yeah, you know what? Like I had a meeting with one of the labor councils when I was running for mayor, and one of the things that they said was like, well, like we're considering who we want to endorse. I don't think they never came out with an endorsement for any Niagara candidate for mayor at least. And the one thing they said was like, for us to consider you, like we need to make sure that you're on the same page with us. We want to make sure that there's affordable housing in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And I said, what do you mean? It's like, how? Like, and I didn't want to get into it. Like, I can't explain the logic that is right on the table to say like, look, like even if I paid for this house to say, I want to make sure that this guy can afford to live there, you know what's going to happen. Like, even if that guy, if I hand him the deed, the house isn't just going to be worth $100,000. It's going to shoot up. The value of the house is what the market dictates. And that's that. Like, I'm not going to say, let me just spark a massive recession or like, let me just expand the urban boundary, pump in 100,000 homes so that, we have a supply. It doesn't make sense. Like people are still going to buy those houses.
Back what I said before, where that before the high school and the division between the town and Virgil and the township, where nobody from Niagara-on-the-Lake, the old town of Niagara-on-the-Lake was going to live in Virgil. And now they sell in Niagara-on-the-Lake and they all move to Virgil. Yeah. But the problem is if they sell in Virgil, they got to move to Niagara Falls or St. Catharines because they can't afford to buy anywhere else in the town now. Yeah. The whole town has gone crazy. Yeah, because even St. David's is just I said years ago, we've done a good job of screwing up the old town of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Let's not do the same with Virgil. And they're sure trying to do the same with Virgil right now. I mean, the biggest problem for that town council right now is what are they going to do with Virgil? That it's a. I'd love to see the stuff going on in there, and that should be the service commercial area for the town.
Yeah.
But how are they going to do it properly?
Yeah.
They're stuck with a major highway running right through the middle of the place that really can't be expanded.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, why don't we just put a Gardner Expressway right above it? It'd be perfect. You know, just see how many lanes.
But then they'd miss their liquor control, LCBO. They'd have to go all the way to Niagara-on-the-Lake then.
Damn it. We all know that closes at like what, 5, 6
And
p.m.
then they'd be screaming Niagara-on-the-Lake, get them out of Niagara-on-the-Lake. We don't want them there.
Yeah, too many Virgilites in a whole town. So like what would you say is like, I guess like the biggest change in the town from when you were a councillor to today? And like, you know, whether that be physically, like, I mean, we both know that which direction development heads in, but like, I guess like culturally too, like if someone were to just ask you like, what has changed?
I would like to know where these people get off saying it's such a friendly town. It was a friendly town. I don't really see the friendliness in people in this town now. They don't talk to you before. You walk down the main street, everybody talked to you.
Yeah, now they just spit on you.
Yeah. And if you were shoveling your sidewalk, you shoveled their sidewalk too. These people call the town up and tell them to do it. They're not friendly.
Yeah.
I don't see it friendly.
Well,
And one of my, I used this thing that when I was on council, I used to ask tourists, what attracted you to Niagara-on-the-Lake and why'd you come here? And they say, because of all the trees and no fences. And they moved down here and they cut down the trees and build a fence.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It never made any sense to me.
Well, it's a huge paradox. I mean, I remember going to the neighborhood over in St. David's, the Cannery District, and you talk to people and they'd say like, you know, everyone hates that I live here. They're mean to me. As soon as I tell them I'm from here, they say like, they basically say, go to hell. And like, I say to them, I like, look, I don't hate you. And like, I live here. So, I mean, I want you to know, like, not everyone hates you. I understand that you bought the house because it was for sale and that you wanted to move to Niagara-on-the-Lake. And I say, like, look, if I wasn't born in Niagara-on-the-Lake, I'd work my ass off so that I could get a house and move to Niagara-on-the-Lake because it's a beautiful town and it's a great damn town to live in. But I also find it funny when they say, look, I like living here, but that vineyard next door, they're going to rip it out and they're going to put houses in. I don't want to lose my view. And then I say, you see that house over there, that house that's been there 20 years? They said the same thing about your neighborhood.
That's right.
And the people that move into that new neighborhood are going to say the same thing about next door. You see those grapes there? They're going to, you know, it's a paradox.
I mean, there's been some fantastic development in this town, but there's been some god awful stuff.
Yeah. What's the worst thing that you've seen?
Kings Point.
The big hotel down there? Or
No, Kings Point, the condo unit.
Oh, that,
the old Shepherd's Boats property.
Yeah.
I mean, inside it's nice. The layout is nice. To me, it's just ugly. And then secondly, lately would be that subdivision of Virgil. I mean, in St. David's, they're making
the cannery,
tunnel. I mean, they got rid of the tunnel down the road and they put another tunnel in down there.
I talked to a gentleman in there. I can't remember his name, but he was telling me that he had like several different roofing companies have to come in to like redo his roof. Like just the quality of those homes too is just god awful.
But who do you blame for that? Then you better blame the town for their inspections.
Yeah.
They better have an inspector out there that knows what he's doing and inspecting these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. And that's the thing is like everyone has, well, the thing is no one person is at fault, you know? And I say the same thing, like, look, I find it unfortunate that they're going to tear down the farm down around the corner from me on Concession 6. I'm like, you know, that stinks. I would have rather see that be the agricultural land. It's been my whole life. But I don't blame the owner. I mean, he is just, you know, he's part of the process. It's just, like I said, if you are going to make a lot more money by selling the property for 100 houses than if you were to slave through your retirement to do, you know, a few more years of grapes or a few more years of peaches or anything like that, I can't blame you. You got to blame the process that allowed this to happen, that expanded the urban boundary onto that land to allow that.
Well, when these, I agree with that, but when the things go on, they keep, because like the town council of Niagara seems to come last. You have to deal, because we have a lot of federally owned land, we have a lot of provincially owned land, we have a lot of regional owned land. We have to deal with the Escarpment Commission.
Yep. Greenbelt Plan.
Yeah, the Seaway Authority, Niagara Parks Commission. We have to deal with everybody in the Niagara-on-the-Lake Council. They come last.
Yeah.
They can more or less say, "Shut up, we'll get to you later."
Yeah.
And they make the decisions. And like this thing was on Facebook not too long ago about the official plan, and they're saying, well, the provincial government is not accepting, any official plans from small communities at the present. I said, to me, that doesn't matter. Have it written so at least the people in town know
That
which
you're
way.
trying.
Yeah,
and
you're
where
trying,
you stand.
and where you stand.
Yeah.
And then just keep pushing. Send them a letter every damn day.
Yeah.
Get all 8 aldermen to send them a letter every damn day with their official plan. Wake them up, because I don't think anybody in Toronto should be making decisions for Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Yeah, and at least
Especially if your name's Ford.
And at least when we go to the LPAT to fight, we'll have a document to say, look, this is what we suggested. This is what we wanted for our backyard and our neighborhood. We didn't think that, we're going to have someone, on the other side of the lake dictating what's best for us.
That would make being an alderman awful easy. They would know how you feel.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to, you'd have to go out and explain yourself all the time.
Well,
this is how this is what I'd like to see.
Well, it's funny. One of the things that I heard from a lot of people going around, and so what I did before running for mayor is I went around with a notepad similar to this one right here. And I asked everyone, it's like, what would you like to see done to this town? What bothers you? Like, what is your ideal Niagara-on-the-Lake? And I heard people say, I want us to leave the region. Or I even heard someone say, I want this to be our own country. And imagine just how different that would be. Like that would be the point where the council would be basically the legislator. They would be the leader of the entire nation.
I was a supporter of regional government. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about it, because it never did what it was supposed to do. But it never got any cooperations from the areas that it took over.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing in this town where we had our industrial park up off where White Oaks is, and White Oaks and the racetrack was. I always said that if we are the historic area of this town, you should be taking care of us. We should not be in the commercial or industrial business against St. Catharines and Niagara Falls. It should be the region. Here's your property. You can have that property, but you make sure we have the roads, the infrastructure going into town, and you take care of Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Yeah.
And then you can have the damn property. And maybe that's where that hospital should have been, instead of stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we give you the power, but we give you the responsibility.
Or maybe the arena could have been on that property. There's all kinds of things that could have been on that property. But they're in a battle. They're fighting against St. Catharines and Niagara Falls and Welland and Fort Erie. Who's going to get the industry?
Yeah.
And it's a constant battle. Well, to me, region should have solved all that. Well, it didn't, so the region has never done its job.
The one thing I always thought is that, Niagara-on-the-Lake, we have our Lord Mayor and one representative elected directly for regional council. But then you have St. Catharines has, I think it's 6, including their mayor. And usually in the last few times they've had like the regional chair be from St. Catharines too. So they end up getting a lot more representation.
Even before Notl.
Yep.
The first one's John Campbell.
Mm-hmm. He was a Niagara-on-the-Lake resident,
He was a Niagara-on-the-Lake resident. Next one was Wilbur Dick.
Niagara-on-the-Lake
resident. Third one was Gary Burrows, Niagara-on-the-Lake resident. And the only reason that was because St. Catharines sure as hell didn't want anybody from Niagara Falls being the regional chairman.
So they would
and
vote
Niagara
for
Falls did
guy.
not want
St.
anybody from St. Catharines to be regional chairman.
Huh.
Well, because now you got.
So at least we'll let our little brother in the corner deal with it.
Yeah. No, the regional chairman, but that's what it comes down to.
That's interesting. I never realized that. So that makes me want to almost look back at some of the old voting records to see who voted for which chair. I think there was 3 people who ran in the last for chair. There was Bradley, and there was Councillor Insina, I believe, and I want to say Furtick was the other one.
I like Bradley.
Yeah, he's been good. I've seen him around.
Right, he's always been good. He was a great representative for the rock. Whether it was that rock riding or
the St. Catharines
for St. Catharines.
Yeah,
he was always good.
Yeah,
but even in politics, when your representative starts to become a minister of this and minister of that, get rid of him.
Really? Why is that?
Because he's not worried about you anymore.
Yeah, he's worried about his project, I guess.
He's worried about his. Now he's got more things on his mind. You want the person like poor Wayne Gates is a fighter, but he's fighting a losing battle because who's going to listen to him? The conservatives aren't going to listen to him, and they're not going to listen to Niagara Falls anymore either because you're not going to give us. And the liberals aren't going to listen to you anymore because you're not going to. A city that was strictly liberal before becomes NDP along with Niagara-on-the-Lake, and you think a conservative government's going to listen to it? They're not going to give him any credit.
Yeah.
He can pound and beat all he wants, and I agree with a ton of things that he's trying to do. But sorry, you're not going to win.
Well, you know what's funny is people have said that about like, look at Niagara-on-the-Lake. We have a conservative representative in the federal house, but we've got a liberal government, and we've got an NDP in the Ontario legislature. We've got a conservative government, so we're kind of. It's funny how like we both went like I guess against the grain in the last two elections. I mean, and we know Niagara-on-the-Lake is very different than Niagara Falls, which is
it's because of the water. We drink too much of the water.
Yeah,
that's what does it.
We don't know what the Americans are putting in there.
Yeah, we don't. And now I was going to get on this about
all those damn Trump supporters.
No, the amalgamation of the areas because you were talking to Tony
That's
about
question 14.
No, you were talking about Tony about this. And I was
oh yeah, I met Tony Crusoe just asked, "What are Mr. Steele's views on amalgamation?"
I'm dead against it.
Yeah,
because I love for Niagara-on-the-Lake to get some of that casino money, but some of the money that I donate to them weekly.
Yeah, at least get back your dividend, right? It's your investment.
So I get something up for it. But the thing is, in the long run, Niagara-on-the-Lake will suffer. And it's like I don't know. You've got the representation. What he said, like how Tony, he didn't say it could be this, could be that. But how many representatives? If they've got 80,000 people, and we've got 20,000 people, 4-1, and whatever 40 Erie's got. What are they?
Yeah, I think 40 Erie's got 30,000.
Yeah.
So still, they outnumber us. They're still almost twice.
So the vote itself, that what's it going to mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah. I was making a joke. Like if they did that, all they have to do is get some blue spray paint and cover up the Lord. Another joke. If any of the decision makers are listening, make it Lord Chair of Niagara, not Lord Mayor, or not. Yeah, Lord Chair. We can go with that.
So, I think that come in at around when I was growing up in town. I really think Jerry Wool was the one that brought the Lord Mayor thing back.
Jerry
no, Bill Greaves was always referred to as Lord Mayor.
Bill Beans?
Bill Greaves. See, you're not a true Niagara-on-the-Lake person.
Hey, I'm too young.
No, unless you've smelt the chili sauce in the fall or the donuts in the main street in the summer from the home bakery.
Yeah,
you know nothing. That. You know nothing about Niagara-on-the-Lake, and you poor people that just moved here are never going to get to smell them.
I never got to smell them. I'll just pretend.
Or burning leaves. You must have got burning leaves.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of fires here. We love fire.
You had that burn, but that it was like can't be a true Niagara-on-the-Lake unless you tell me what Greaves jams. The main street smelled like. And actually, summer smelled a bit like Jack Green sometimes too, if the wind was coming that way.
Yeah, my thing was, you would always like I used to bike to school. I went to school at Colonel John Butler just down the street, and nothing better than getting a nice mouthful of pesticides on your way home. That nice smell of formaldehyde as you're coming home. I'm sure I'll probably lose a few years of life because of that, but it was a cool experience, I guess.
Well, see, being a city boy, a big town boy from Niagara-on-the-Lake, we never had to put up with that.
Yeah.
We just had to smell the chili sauce.
Well, you have like just every restaurant in every corner selling chili?
No, Greaves Jams.
Just
Greaves. Right there. Right across from the Stagecoach Restaurant. Greaves Jams. They made chili sauce right there.
Do they still make chili?
And marmalade. They made it all right there on that spot. Right on the spot.
Okay. I know that place. They give a lot of like little samples.
But you don't know it. When it was Greaves, they don't manufacture anything there anymore.
Was it all made in Bangladesh?
They used to make it right there.
Oh, we got another Tony Caruso. We got, could amalgamation not benefit Niagara-on-the-Lake with the casino money, with all of your casino money? Sewers and water lines can be brought into the farmers in a water treatment center, which was promised for many years. What's your response to that?
The fact that it was promised for many years. If I could see it in writing, yes, it's going to be there. Maybe I could change my mind on that. But I still, at this point, I don't see the value in it. I don't see the value in it.
I mean, because here's the thing: people aren't going to be just suddenly moving a lot more between Niagara Falls and Niagara-on-the-Lake. And imagine if right now we both have an at-large system. We would have to go to a ward system if we did that. And the money right now for the casino stays within Niagara Falls, the money that's allotted to the municipality. Do you think that's going to suddenly swim over here to Niagara? No, there's certain things that it relies on in Niagara Falls.
But Niagara-on-the-Lake, well, years ago, we passed it when I was on town council. We passed it, equalization of assessment, and where a home in Niagara-on-the-Lake was St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, and that if they're assessed the same, they're taxed the same, and did that ever work? Do you think they're going to go along with that? And nobody, the hell was you, Niagara-on-the-Lake?
Yeah, we got our water trucked in here. I mean, I know obviously you still pay like per the use of water, but I mean, it's a lot of things that we don't have. Like we don't have this, I don't know, the internet's okay. I mean, I hope you guys are able to at least see us live, but
you'll be watching, Betty.
Yeah, we want better connections. We want more high speed. We don't want 5G though, because that'll fry your brains. The new wireless technology is like ridiculously fast, like scramble your mind if you're too close to a tower.
You have cistern water here?
Yeah, yep. Wow. Yeah. And we got a well next door.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I lived in the old school, Lakeshore School, and it had well water. I guess that's why they closed it down, because it
too much lead.
Sometimes the sulfur smells. You go to take a shower, you come out smelling worse than when you went in.
Yeah,
but
so go roll around in some dirt to clean off.
Well, no, really, it was terrible. The smell. That was well water. I can imagine it must have had something to do with the closing down of that school. Not the fact that we only had 10 students, but.
Yeah, we're gonna up the class size. We're gonna ship some kids in from out of town now, because we gotta get.
We'll bust them in.
Yeah, we gotta get up to at least 28. If any Americans need schooling, we're trying to shove in as many people as we can in their classes.
Americans don't want to learn anything. They don't mind being stupid.
Well, Trump doesn't want them to learn, because then they might vote for someone else. I wanted to.
Through him through life not learning.
Sorry.
Got him through life not learning.
Yeah. It'd be nice if I got paid into the Wharton School of Business, paid all the way through to get top grades. And the one thing I wanted to bug you about still is like, do you have any like major regrets on council? Like, what was the one thing that if you could go back and redo or undo, what would it be? Would you run again? Would you say, screw it all?
Oh, I'd like to be starting over again. At your age or my age when I started, not at my age now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if I had your,
I would like to get my say in. I actually did consider running
in this election,
the last election, just so I could say what I wanted to say, and then the night before the election day, I changed my mind. I'm not running. Get the hell out. At least I could get my say in there, because obviously some of you people aren't listening, and I really. I don't like the way politics has gone at any level in the states, in Canada, provincially, federally, and when it starts municipally, and there's some pretty dirty tricks pulled into this last municipal election. And if I could prove or knew for a fact who did them,
yeah,
I'd spend all the time bringing them down.
Yeah, bringing them out.
Bring them down, because there's no call for it. I mean, I don't care if you disagree with me or not, but at least listen to me.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a guy who did that in St. Catharines in 2014. This guy named Jim Fannin. I think he's a realtor. He added me on Facebook a few years ago too, and he was hilarious though. He only got like I think 2% of the vote, but it was one of the debate nights, and I know there's one of the guys who was a counselor. I think Peter Secord was his name. This is when Jeff Birch, who's now the NDP MPP for Thorold in Welland, and this is like when Walter Senzig's first run, and I was on Walter's campaign at that point actually as a door-to-door volunteer, And what was funny is this Jim Fannin guy was basically a heckler. He was there just to have fun, just to have his name out. Because I remember Jeff gave his little speech talking about, I've been a city councilor for all this time. I'm the one with the most experience and the most know-how. I'm going to be the best mayor ever. And then Walter came up and he gave a little speech, and it was really, really touching. He was saying, I've got my children and I see the city going in a bad direction. And I want to make sure that my children have the same opportunities that I had when I was their age and growing up in this town. So then Jim comes up and he's like, all right, so you've got Jeff over here, who's obviously running secretly for the NDP. And then you got Walter, the tearjerker, trying to make you cry about his kids. Now here I am. I'm straightforward. I'll do whatever you want. Like, it's just, you could tell he was just there to be there.
Well, I was from, like, when you were even asking you questions back when I was running for alderman or mayor, it sort of depended how many kids you had. If you had more kids, you're going to be a better alderman. What church you went to, you're going to be a better alderman.
Yeah.
What is, education does mean something. But I mean, the questions they ask you, like, who really gives a shit?
Yeah.
Ask me something that means something.
Yeah, people were saying, hey, you should go to this church, go to that church. Like, I don't want to fake my religion or be a phony either.
Yeah, but who cares? Like, who would care? I said, I was like, I guess one of the lucky ones. My father was come from a Catholic family. My mother come from an Anglican family. We didn't just, religion was never discussed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
at either grandparents' place or religion was never discussed.
Yeah, I mean, religion and state have been separate for hundreds of years now, in North America for sure. I mean, the Catholic Church is still as big as it is.
Well, they've gone through stages,
where they've been able to kind of separate and pull back a little further and further. Tony is saying that Jim Fannin had run for the Green Party also, and he has his own radio show. I guess I'm following in his footsteps. I've actually considered running in the election this fall for the Green Party. I want to try to run as the representative for this area, especially with knowing that Rob Nicholson is not running again. There's going to be a bit of an opening there.
You must like losing, eh?
Well, yeah, for now. Well, my thing is...
I agree. No, I agree with you. But I'll vote for you. Honestly, God, I'll campaign for you.
Perfect. Let's go.
I will.
Right now.
But yeah, we got to win one.
I know.
Win one for the gift.
But here's the thing. The Green Party, they're not going to win. The Green Party won't win until the earth is brown.
As long as you get your say in. If you get your say in, then maybe wake some people up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have to go streaking in the street at least. Someone will listen.
I'll do that.
All right, there you go. You're going to have people looking the other way, I'm sure. But I'm still thinking of running. Just, maybe in a few years. Tony's upset that I want to run for the Green Party, but that's okay. I'm 23 years old. I mean, I don't know. I always change my mind if I want to have kids one day or not. But the reason I'd say no is because I don't want to give birth. Well, I won't physically give birth. I don't want to have a child that's going to be born into a world that's on fire. I want to make sure that we have like some sort of a future. And I am serious when I say that I want to die on Mars one day, because I don't want to die here burning in the, 50 degrees Celsius plus humidity.
Well, that's a scary thing. Like, the more, when I was your age, I probably never thought of it. It never even fizzed on me.
No, yeah.
But now, at my age, you think of that. Like, what are we leaving? What are we leaving for the next generation? Not a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
No. We're not leaving them much. And it's, now it bothers me. But maybe it should have bothered me 50 years ago. But who ever expected to get to this?
No, seriously. I mean, we didn't know the damage that we were doing for all these years. Okay. Yeah. Do you know a guy named Harry Huizer? Huizer?
Yes, Harry.
Yeah, Harry saying now Dave's memories of the town's history and his history will be informative and surely humorous. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say to that Harry that Dave says, hey.
Well, yeah, see, they would have been humorous. I got more stories, but.
And Dave says hi and to watch. All right. We're already over an hour. Let me just see if there's any other like really pressing questions. I got to have you back on, because I haven't even gone through half of these.
You haven't let me talk.
Yeah, I know. I've been too busy just talking about my agenda.
You never even asked me who I wanted to be.
What's your name again?
You never asked me who I wanted to be.
Well, who do you want to be?
Well, during the summer, I wanted to be Jackie Robinson.
You gotta explain this to me. I'm a child. Who's Jackie Robinson?
You don't know Jackie?
No, I know Jackie Chan.
They have a baseball, a memorial thing. Everybody wears number 42.
Okay, well,
They just did it last week.
well, I've got a
He's
permanent
the
marker. I can write 42 on your shirt if you want.
First black ball player in the major leagues.
The Barack Obama of sports.
And that's who I wanted to be. And in the winter, I wanted to be Ted Kennedy.
I know
When I was
Ted
on the
Kennedy.
golf course, I wanted to be Ben Hogan. You got that, Harry? Harry?
Whenever he comes back and watches.
I want to be Ben Hogan.
Well, Ben.
When I played football, I want to be Jimmy Brown.
Well, now it's what's his name? The Patriots guy. Who's the famous guy from the Patriots everyone likes? The quarterback.
The cheat?
Yeah, the guy who deflates his ball.
When the guy lets the air out of the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that, people.
Yeah, he doesn't. We don't need to mention his name.
Tom Brady.
No, no idea. Yeah, I mean, any last words? Anything else? I mean, we've got all night, but
Yes, I want to come back.
all right.
Bring me back, please.
Yeah, honestly.
Let me form the questions next time.
Yeah, you've got your list there. Jeez, yeah.
These are
I'm an
questions.
asshole.
These are just things that I thought I wanted to hit.
All right, well, I'll have you back. How about, I think next weekend we can fit you in. Busy schedule of figuring things out.
We'll get better beer, okay?
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Sorry.
We'll try host next time.
Oh, no, we got two more. Don't get those. You got two more of these? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get through that first. But yeah, so tomorrow, my brother is coming back on. I told him he would come back for every milestone. So being that tomorrow's the 10th podcast, going into 2 digits as of tomorrow. I know I didn't think we'd make it that far. So yeah, I'm not sure what time. You guys don't even have to watch live. The link's always there, so you can come back to it. But number 10 with Thomas, what's my brother's middle name? Gerald Harry Turner. And on Sunday, I'm going to have my friend Sierra come on. She's a ball of fun. And on Monday, if John Turner's watching, are you still coming? I'm going to confirm. I'll probably text you right after this. John is an aspiring paralegal, so I don't know if Tony wants to come and bug John, tell him how great it is to be a paralegal, or tell him to run for the hills. And my friend Jack Turpak is going to come on next week as well too. He's a computer science student. Software engineering. I know, much more fancy, from the University of London, or Western. That's what they call it, Western University, because they're fancy. And and then we'll have Dave back next week. But we want to sign off, Dave. Any last words?
Bye.
All right. You heard the man. Bye. Oh, Britt, say bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us.
Next time, don't talk so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Do you have any questions to ask me?
No.
What?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
I'll have to think of some.
Are you a Niagara-Laker?
No, I'm from Milton.
No.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I know. She just snuck in the room. Let's see. Just one last thing from Harry. Haha, I wanted to be Arnold Palmer. He's watching. Hey, Harry. Wanted to be Arnold Palmer and later Greg Norman. Who doesn't know the first black player in the majors? Yeah, sorry, Harry. I was literally born last week, so I never got to meet him. Dave was quite a character, but talented. Teachers loved him. Yeah, well, I don't know. I remember I was kind of I hated high school. I didn't like going. I skipped a lot.
That screwed my whole life up. That should have been the time of my life.
Yeah.
And I was such a fuck up.
Yeah.
I questioned everything. But then I was a junior A hockey player. I was a smoker. I was a football. I was a Joe Jock.
You were a smoker. You were a toker. You were a midnight joker.
Yeah, and I was actually in grade. I got expelled. Didn't get thrown out. I got expelled because I slugged the teacher.
Oh, how did you hit him hard? Did they hit back?
What?
Did the teacher hit back?
No, I decked him.
Oh, that's good.
And then, and I couldn't get into any school, so my parents sent me to Chicago to live with my aunt and uncle, and they sent me back.
Really? Well, would you hit them too?
They said I was incorrigible. I had to go look it up in a dictionary.
And you're like, well.
So I get back into school, and I didn't really like a lot of people. I liked everybody. No, I hated everybody the same. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I hated everybody the same.
That's a fair way to put it.
Get the fuck out of my road, and that's it. And I was constantly in trouble. And I had to spend the whole year in the office. They'd send the work down for me. and I had to do it, all the work in the office, and get it passed by the vice president. It's the only thing that got me through school. I probably never would have made it. That probably would have been my last year. I was not allowed to ride the bus to school, and I couldn't take the bus home.
Did they let you drive the bus at least?
I tried to steal a couple times. But I couldn't take the bus to school, and I couldn't take it home.
So you did a lot of walking, or you just did a lot of sitting?
Hitchhiking.
Yeah.
Have friends come back and pick me up. And anyway, it was like, but I was constantly trying. I was just like, but it should have been the time of my life because I was like, the hell, I was a jock.
Well, yeah, you're still you're still taller than me.
But they threw me off the football team, threw me off the basketball team. And basically the best player they had. They had no sense of humor.
Well, plus people probably wanted to go to the you've ever seen Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the movie. He's at first he wasn't even the best guy, but he got so many people to like come out to all those golfing games. They had like all those new crowds of people coming. He probably had people dressed up like they're going to a Metallica concert, coming to watch your games. They're probably like, "What the heck's going on here?" I don't know, but we're selling out of popcorn and beer.
Well, I started a riot in Grimsby in a football game.
Well, you got to start a riot in Grimsby. You got to stir things up.
But they got all pissed off about it because I did. I punched the son of a bitch. I punched him into there.
Son of a bitches need to be punched.
And I started a riot in Niagara Falls. Same thing. But I said the problem there was I didn't throw the first punch. The other guy threw the first punch. He missed. I threw the second punch and hit him.
Well, at least he caught that one.
And the stupid bastards, they throw me out. Not just throw me out. I get technical fall for the deputy, but our coach wouldn't put me back in. So I lit up a cigarette and said, I really don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah, you know what happens too. They hear the wisp from him punching, and so they turn around, and then all they see is you landing one on his head, and they're like, look at this asshole.
But I was constantly in trouble. At the thing that I wasn't allowed in the gymnasium. I couldn't take phys ed. I was not allowed. I couldn't go watch a basketball game. Couldn't go watch a commencement.
Couldn't take the bus to the game that you were supposed to win.
I don't know that well. That well. It was but it should have been the best time of my life. And it all came down to the fact that the sports that I was good at and played. Like who plays junior A hockey? Very few people. I'm playing junior A hockey, and we win. In those years, we won 2 Ontario championships in fastball. But those were not high school sports.
Yeah.
And I was concentrating on those. They were more important to me than.
Yeah, you're focusing on literally what was important.
Yeah. There's one year I was playing baseball, football, hockey, and basketball all at the same time.
And you could still walk?
And plus I'd go out and play golf. And plus go to school. That explains those 25%. No. Actually, I wasn't a bad student either. I learned how to cheat.
Well, you still made it all the way here today. But if any of you like what you saw, subscribe, share, tweet. Oh yeah, no, we are.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I'll try to pull that. It wasn't live. Don't worry about it. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for all who are watching, and we're gonna peace out. See you later, everyone. Thanks for coming. And
serious? That was on there.
No, yeah, we're still here.
But what I just said was on there.
Oh yeah, for everyone to see, the whole world. Barack Obama's watching. All right, take her easy, everyone.